Welcome to Master.
Thank you, Vikas ji, for having us.
This is our
Beautiful. This is
equipment, okay, steamers, ice cream makers, everything. This is the tasting area.
okay.
तो जल्दी क्या करते हैं हम कि and a serious competition is going on, a pressure test is going on. We do
Okay.
tasting here in Indian cuisine. इतना बड़ा from colleges to अब pantries की setup देखो तो ingredients ही मिलते थे पहले.
Right.
Because you started this is such a big force कि people's choice of profession, cooking colleges, to people investing in chefs, restaurants.
Beautiful.
Evolution जो होनी थी ना उसके लिए बहुत बड़ा एक्सपीरियंस था. Anyone who's safe contestant, they go
upside.
discuss this.
Okay.
And there's a lounge for all these contestants.
Beautiful.
And they want to ideation करनी होती है इनको.
Okay.
कोई भी चीज़ का आइडिया करना कुछ करना. And top quality everything. Access to ingredients, equipment, tools, plates, सब कुछ has to be top.
Next up. Completely next up. Beautiful. हेलो दोस्तों, मैं डॉक्टर योगेंद्र सिंह राठौड़ और आप लोगों के लिए लाया हूँ इनर वेलनेस ट्राइब का अगला एपिसोड। आज हमारे बीच मेरे फेवरेट और बहुत ही इंस्पिरेशनल पर्सनालिटी मौजूद हैं। पूरे विश्व में वन ऑफ द मोस्ट पॉपुलर शेफ, ऑथर और मास्टर शेफ के जज भी। प्लीज़ वेलकम चार्मिंग, इंस्पायरिंग विकास खन्ना ऑन आवर शो।
Such an honor for me actually. I've watched you grow and I'm very proud what you do, very proud.
काफ़ी लोग तो विकास जी आपकी जर्नी जानते ही हैं, लेकिन अगर शॉर्ट में आप बता सकें कि एक अमृतसर से एक मध्यम वर्गीय परिवार से बड़ा होता हुआ लड़का कब उसे लगा कि शेफ, कुकिंग इसी डायरेक्शन में जाना है, लिखाई की डायरेक्शन में जाना है, कब उसे ये एहसास हुआ?
मैं 2000 में जब अमेरिका पहुंचा तो उसमें ये हुआ कि आई फेल्ट कि सबको इतनी ज़्यादा एप्रिसिएशन है लिटरेचर की उस देश में। मुझे लगा कि जैसे अगर मैं इंडियन खाना बेच रहा हूँ उसके बारे में लिखना भी इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट, राइट? इट्स रेलेवेंट, इट्स अ ब्लेंड टुगेदर। एंड आई फेल्ट कि अगर हम मेरे को यही अपनी आवाज़ बुलंदी पे लेके जानी है, आई हैव टू फाइंड द वे टू गेट बुक्स पब्लिश, टू राइट अबाउट इंडियन हिस्ट्री, कल्चर, फेस्टिवल्स, आवर रिचुअल्स, हम घर में क्या सेलिब्रेट करते हैं। कि एक दुनिया में एक ही खाना, हिंदुस्तानी खाना, एक तो हमारी बेस इज़ आयुर्वेदा विच कम्स फ्रॉम, imagine your food is your dispensary, right, for in our culture. And वही खाना हमारे जश्न में, शादियों पे, त्योहारों पे, loss of family members, हर चीज़ में खाने की celebration is always the main force, right? हमारी हर जने की बचपन की मेमोरी जो बेस्ट मेमोरी तकरीबन हर इंसान की इंडिया में खाने के बारे में। So I felt कि अगर मुझे बताना है ये तो I have to give it a form of a literature, and the book started. Not easy. I published 5 books, self-published it, and then later I got Lake Isle Press, who published my first major breakthrough book called Flavors First in US.
Lovely. So I think you have written around 40 books so far?
I've written 45 books, but I've published 41 books till now.
41 books you have published.
50 कितनी है? 50 का वादा किया पापा से. But I also diversified towards children's books, fiction, non-fiction. Like I also expanded my forte in this.
Okay, so आप सिर्फ कुकिंग या फूड के बारे में ही नहीं लिख रहे हैं, उसके अलावा भी आप बहुत कुछ लिख रहे हैं, right?
जी, फिक्शन में से 2 बुक्स है मेरी फिक्शन के ऊपर। एक थी द लास्ट कलर और दूसरी इमेजिनरी रेन। बिल्कुल टोटली डिफरेंट। माई नेक्स्ट रिसर्च ऑफ अ नॉवल इज अबाउट डिस्प्लेसमेंट ऑफ इंडियंस हु वेंट टू कैरिबियन, that the way they were tricked with indentured labors, and you know how slavery was banned, and how come so many Indians were packed in ships with such bad, horrible conditions, and they were dropped for sugarcane farming in the Caribbean. And whole new novel, full research on that.
So beautiful. So इस जर्नी में आपने देखा कि जो जैसे राइटिंग है या फिर कुकिंग है, क्या दोनों में कुछ सिमिलैरिटीज आपने देखी कि कुछ
दोनों ही बहुत डिसिप्लिनरी आर्ट्स हैं, बिकॉज दे आर बेस्ड ऑन डिसिप्लिन। एंड मुझे वर्ड से थोड़ा सा अजीब लगता है कि टैलेंट। I just feel it's not about talent, it's more about discipline and perseverance. Right? You can learn a craft by discipline and perseverance. ये जो होता है ना, I'm a natural talented, I've worked with people on some of the biggest global platforms. They were persistent, they were disciplined. To me, writing or cooking, I feel both of them, filmmaking also, documentary also, fundraising also, is all based on how disciplined you are.
Okay, so I was about to ask you this thing, ki suppose, is there any natural talent required to become a good chef, or it's just that
Observation.
learning?
आप देख लें, अगर मैं अभी भी खाना आपके सामने बनाता हूँ, 10 लोग देख रहे हैं, बहुत चंद लोग हैं जो ऑब्जर्व करेंगे प्रोसेस वेरी क्लियरली. सो यू गॉट टू ब्रेक इट डाउन. अब क्या है कि हिंदुस्तानी खाना मेरा फोटे है, और हिंदुस्तानी खाने में देयर इज़ नथिंग, एज हम मम्मा से पूछें. अभी मैं कुछ दिन पहले सूरत में था, तो कोई बहुत ही स्वाद कड़ी बना के लेके आया था. तो मैंने उनको पूछा कि क्या है इसके अंदर, तो उन्होंने कहा बस यही है, दही है. और मैं लाइक ओके, अब मेजरमेंट पूछने का पॉइंट ही कोई नहीं है. हमारा इतना ये चुटकी भर ये. So but I figured out कि if I want the cooking and writing to be my forte, I have to break down everything into science. And you will see that the discipline I have is turning everything into science, standardizing it so that everybody can follow.
When I talked about cooking and science also, you said, so I read a lot and I research a lot on evolution. So I believe कि पूरी जितनी भी स्पीशीज़ हैं प्लेनेट पे, उन स्पीशीज़ में वी आर द ओनली वन जो अपने खाने को कुक करते हैं. और कुकिंग पूरे ह्यूमन एवोल्यूशन में, जो आज हम इतने सोशल रह पाते हैं, जो आज इतने ज़्यादा कनेक्टेड हैं हम, उसमें ये माना जाता है कि कुकिंग का बहुत बड़ा रोल रहा.
100%.
क्योंकि जैसे ही हमने फायर को कंट्रोल करना सीखा,
सब इकट्ठे हो गए,
तो सब लोग इकट्ठा होना चालू हो गए. सेफ्टी हुई, प्लस सोशल गैदरिंग इम्प्रूव हुई. सेकंड चीज़, एक अगर हम रो खाना खाते हैं जो कि एनिमल्स खाते हैं अगर, तो उसको डाइजेस्ट करने में जो टाइम है और जो एनर्जी है वो बहुत ज़्यादा लगती है, और ज़्यादा खाने में लेस एनर्जी हम निकाल पाते हैं. तो कुकिंग करने की वजह से हमारा डाइजेशन टाइम रिड्यूस हुआ, हमारा खाना ज़्यादा एफिशिएंट हुआ, जिसकी वजह से हम ह्यूमंस के पास में एक्स्ट्रा समय रहा, जिसमें हमने पोइट्री की, हमने म्यूज़िक बनाया, फिल्म्स बनाई, हमने लिखना चालू किया.
एवोल्यूशन, सिविलाइजेशंस वर फॉर्म्ड.
यस, तो पूरा एवोल्यूशन के पीछे भी जो कुकिंग का है, आई थिंक इट्स अ बिग रोल.
पर कुकिंग वहाँ एंड नहीं हो रही. कुकिंग प्रोसेस, इफ यू लुक एट इट, पहले कुकिंग ओपन कुकिंग थी. द मोमेंट इंसान ने इंडोर कुकिंग शुरू कर दी, वो जो सिविलाइजेशन सोसाइटीज बिल्ट हुई ना बाहर, वो सब टूटनी शुरू हो गई. From a social event, it became like a personal event, family's event. And now that family event is turning into a nuclear event, where individually people are just cooking for themselves. Cooking is evolving its space and meaning all the time.
Right. Then do you think that the role of festival is good in still keeping people connected?
उससे ऊपर कुछ है?
Right, because I think फेस्टिवल एकमात्र है जब आई थिंक सब अलग अलग भी अगर हम हैं तो एक साथ फिजिकली मिलने का एक मौका है. अदरवाइज तो
इट ऑल्सो ब्रेक्स द डेली रूटीन. फेस्टिवल्स हैव दैट पावर. एंड मुझे बहुत लोग पिछले 10-12 साल से people have been talking and we've been fighting as Indians in America that that there should be a holiday on Diwali. Why? Because हमारे बच्चों को एक हमारे त्योहार की बात हम कभी नहीं बोलते. बाकी रेगुलर डे स्कूल जाते हैं, जिस दिन छुट्टी है, दिवाली है, मकर संक्रांति है, होली है, आप सुबह उठते हो, देयर सर्टेन एक्टिविटी. दैट एक्टिविटी इज वेरी important to the health and well-being of the child.
So I think role of festival is extremely important, keeping people together.
And also grounded, gives them a cultural shape, gives them a form of unity, also gives them that they are a form of a group.
Yeah.
There's a pattern here which we feel that, from Jews to Muslims to Hindus to Buddhists, every festival actually means almost the same. It's all connected to gratitude, all connected to the sun and the life and Mother Nature. And then the religion came into form, and then things were celebrated around religion. That is also time based.
Yes.
एक बहुत important है कि जब आप रुक के एक फेस्टिवल सेलिब्रेट करते हैं, कपड़े आते हैं, तो एक certain link to it, to your memory. You are the philosopher of that, well-being के. So that उस टाइम बच्चे के लिए सुबह उठना, आज स्कूल नहीं जाना, आज रिलैक्स कर, आते ही छुट्टी है, आते नए कपड़े, देखो त्योहार है, तूने ये बनाना है. वो little activity becomes very important when in life, in you're broken, sick, alone, suffering, those memories become extremely relevant.
सो अब जैसे आप बाहर जाके आपने बड़ा नाम बनाया और इंडियन फूड को भी और ज़्यादा आपने पॉपुलर करने में मदद की, तो हाउ डू यू मैनेज द ऑथेंटिसिटी की वहाँ के टेस्ट को भी मैनेज करना, यहाँ की ऑथेंटिसिटी को भी मैनेज करना? सो हाउ डू यू थिंक अबाउट दैट? हाउ डू यू मेंटेन द बैलेंस?
I can be blamed. A lot of people blame me that, I really changed the form of the cooking Indian food. Sometimes I made it more pre-plated, I made it more, which looked little different than the way we were served in other restaurants. I also think that, I was very, not determined, I was very focused that as chefs, your biggest honor is a Michelin star. तो मुझे लगा कि किसी तरह से मुझे मिशलिन जीतना. सो ऐसे जो सब इंडियन रेस्टोरेंट्स कर रहे हैं अभी, मुझे उससे अलग होना है, टू बी नोटिस्ड, टू बी रिकग्नाइज्ड एंड टू बी एक्नॉलेज्ड बाय मिशलिन. तो थोड़ी सी फॉर्म्स चेंज हुई खाने की, थोड़ी करते करते वी केप्ट फिगरिंग आउट द टेस्टिंग मेन्यूज एंड प्री प्लेटेड फूड एंड गालास फॉर $40,000 पर पर्सन एंड दिस फॉर $700 पर पर्सन प्लेट. वो सब कुछ एक पार्ट ऑफ द जर्नी था, बिकॉज आई हैड वर्कड अ लॉट इन फ्रांस एंड आई सॉ दैट द वे द मिशलिन was communicating with the chefs was through this amazing art forms of plates. कभी कभी मुझे लगता था कि मैं टेस्ट को unbalance कर रहा हूँ to create these spaces. But I think after 2016, when I had accomplished what I had promised for my grandmother, one of the big reasons for me to leave India was that I wanted to win a Michelin star for India. Once I did that, I felt that, I am free. I am liberated of this burden. I can be as authentic, as unapologetic to serve Indian cuisine the way it is. If Vindaloo is very spicy, we make it very spicy. Aspria, we don't serve pork, but we all have very thoughtfully no pork, no beef in my restaurants. So very carefully I figured out that if you're serving lamb shakuti or chicken shakuti, it has to taste very much for a child's memory who grew up in Goa. Or even the shakuti form in shagoti, what you call in Maharashtrian form, it has to taste like that. If मैं Pondicherry की dish serve कर रहा हूँ या बंगाल का कर रहा हूँ, I have to figure out. For me, one difficult cuisine for me will always remain Rajasthani food because of the minimum use of ingredients. So one dish where I totally said no, lal mas has to be done with these chilies and we have to go exactly the way they were cooking lal mas. एक टाइम पे आपको लगता है कि मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ ये, मेरे को why am I moving away from authenticity when authenticity is not comparable to anything. So आपका सवाल बिल्कुल सही है. एक टाइम पे मैं बहुत unsecured और unsafe फील करता था
जी,
because I want to achieve something. Like an artist is saying I need to win an Oscar, then I can do films of my choice.
हाँ,
Right?
yes.
तो मुझे वो ऑस्कर जीतना था.
So did you do the research as well, like traveling to different parts of India to understand the food better way? Or I think जो इतना आपको detailing पता है
the
तो
most well traveled Indians में से एक हूँ मैं.
okay,
Because when I was writing my big books,
yes,
so I wanted to make sure that I am there physically. And also I was trained all over India because of there was no internet, there was no way you can learn cooking. Hotels and all were just serving that typical Western continental food or Indian restaurants which were all Punjabi. और बेसिकली अगर साउथ इंडियन है तो उसमें भी 4 डिशेज साउथ इंडियन, उसका फिर इंडियन शुरू हो गया. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 1990s. सो हम लोगों को ऑथेंटिकली द रीजन आई कैन कुक ऑथेंटिक कुकिंग इज बिकॉज आई ट्रैवल टू दोज लोकेशंस एंड लर्न फ्रॉम ऑन द बेस्ट होटल्स और रेस्टोरेंट्स और शेफ्स. बट उधर एक और भी होता है कि बिकॉज आई वाज सो यंग लुकिंग, आई वाज नॉट सो यंग बट आई वाज वेरी यंग लुकिंग, सो मैनी शेफ्स विल से बच्चा है यार, इसको कैसे खाना. यहाँ पे बहुत प्रॉब्लम थी कि people who had the recipes in the hand, they would not share. But I feel that was a disadvantage. And now I'm loving that people are putting recipes out there, so many blogs, so many of information, that ये ऐसे हमारे घर में ऐसे बनता है, हमारे region में ऐसे बनता है. The community pride is back.
So what role do you think your food play in mental wellness? Because physical health is definitely, everybody knows about it. So do you take care of those elements, that how can food impact your mental health?
बाहर के देशों में हम जितना मर्जी ग्लोरीफाई करें NRIs की वेल्थ को, उनकी रिचनेस को, we have very successful South Indians or Gujaratis or Punjabis in America. we have to accept I live that life. It's extremely isolating. क्योंकि आप एक वो चीज़ छोड़ के जाते हैं, आपका कोई फेमिलियरिटी नहीं है. आप जिस जगह में बड़े होते हैं, जाके जो कंफर्ट है वहाँ पे, जिस सड़कों में बड़े होते हैं आप, ये बचपन की याद, बिकॉज दैट्स द ओनली टाइम यू आर द हैप्पीएस्ट. सेफ गार्डेड बाय द पेरेंट्स, ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स, सिबलिंग्स, ऐसे पकड़ के रखा हुआ था, कोई हाथ नहीं लगा सकता. वेलबींग का एक हिस्सा था जिसमें खाने का बहुत बड़ा जिक्र है,
राइट.
त्योहारों का जिक्र. If God is listening, if I can play my next project in a way that for people to come there and parents to feel that this is how we grew up, and the kids have not been to India. Architecture में ऐसे elements हैं, when they look at something, oh my God, my father took me here when I was a kid.
Yes.
And those people are now in 70s, right? वो अपने बच्चों को बता रहे हैं कि अरे exactly. So you know in Gujarat they have something called nalli, जो बच्चे उंगली में खा के. And you might think we are talking about well-being. Why are you talking about food like this? Any childhood memory, majority of it is associated to happiness.
Yes. True.
Right? It could be as simple as that. घर में पैसे नहीं है, पर वो नल्ली जो खाते थे बच्चे आपके, you must have seen, right? So that is my first course which is going in the restaurant. I want to make sure that these people who are grown up, you have your 90-year-old दादी, वो देखती है वो, and she's also like this. It's a form of my well-being. To touch those dishes, to touch those pickles, to touch those breads, वो मीठे, वो atmosphere. कुछ music is also part of well-being. So you know, in my previous project somehow I gone very techno, I've been very modern. But इस time पे तो we are clear कि मेरे सपनों की रानी कब आएगी. तो it's not a song. It's a part of your childhood.
It's nostalgia.
It's
actually.
nostalgia. And I'm sure that you know better than me, of course, that all these things are related to how good you feel for that moment. How it really releases those happy cells in your body, and those glands are certainly activated. You feel कि मैं बहुत खुश हूँ आज. कुछ किया इस लड़के ने मेरे को, smells के साथ खेला. I have a whole farm which is growing in North New York where we are commissioning 3 flowers. परिजत, which is अब उग नहीं रहा अभी तक, पता नहीं क्यों, पता नहीं, रामचंद्र जी की मेहरबान चाहिए, मुझे किसी ने बोला क्योंकि वो दिवाली पे ही उगता है.
Okay.
And we have a Kashmiri Nargis and we have Rajnigandha.
Okay.
Marigold, we have people who have already grown now, so we are very happy to have marigold as a part of the restaurant. Decor, fresh marigold, every day in New York City. Please tell me if marigold is not your part of being happiness, of festivals, pujas, shadi, त्योहार.
Yes.
एक छोटा सा चीज, we smell it. When I smell it, it takes me back to my brother's marriage. Where we were setting up the house. It takes me back to बीजी जो थे मेरी grandmother. वो क्या कहते हैं, करवा चौथ के टाइम पे हार आते थे घर में. And we used to eat छोटी सी पीछे की गिरी, and the hands would always smell of the petals. So this is because this is my final project. I really want to talk about how we can make our community healthier by giving them their childhood in some form.
So beautiful. I think it's very deep as well because childhood की memories जो जैसा कहा कि काफ़ी सारी joyful memories बिल्कुल एक association में रहती हैं. And the moment you trigger them, the person goes there, and again those memories sparks happiness and joy inside us. In fact, there are 3 values जो हम as a childhood बिल्कुल natural values होती है हमारी, जो हमारे समाज से या सोसाइटी की कंडीशनिंग से नहीं आती हैं. वो 3 values होती हैं. Number 1 is curiosity, कि एक बच्चा जब पैदा होता है वो बस क्यूरियस है, वो सब कुछ जानना चाह रहा है, वो किसी समाज से प्रभावित होकर नहीं आ रही. सेकेंड इज जॉय, वो एक बटरफ्लाई को देख के भी सेकेंड वैल्यू उसकी जॉय है, मतलब उसको कोई रीज़न नहीं चाहिए, जरा सी साउंड ऊपर नीचे होगी, ही कैन जस्ट हैव अ जॉयफुल मोमेंट. सो क्यूरियोसिटी, जॉय एंड प्लेफुलनेस. द थर्ड थिंग इज प्लेफुलनेस. ही ऑलवेज वांट्स टू प्ले. सो ये 3 एक नेचुरल वैल्यूज़ हम लेकर के आते हैं, एंड समहाउ कई बार ये सोसाइटी हमारी इन तीनों वैल्यूज़ को किल करने का काम करती है. They kill our curiosity by giving the answer that don't ask question. This is the fixed status quo standard. Then they kill the joy because अब आपको बोर्ड का एग्जाम पास करना है, अब आपको ये डिग्री करना है, अब आपको now the pressure is there, so now the joy is out. And playfulness, खेलना तो इट्स गुड दैट अभी हम रास्ते में भी बात कर रहे थे कि अब दिन भर इतना हैक्टिक स्केड्यूल है, स्टिल यू आर एबल टू मैनेज दैट एनर्जी बिकॉज फॉर यू इट्स योर पैशन, इट्स अ प्लेफुलनेस. अब खेल हम कितनी भी समय ले लें, बच्चा थकता ही नहीं है दिन भर, उसको डांट के कई बार बिठाना पड़ता है. बट एज वी ग्रो अप, पीपल, not everybody is lucky enough that this society, their work actually take away their playfulness.
बिल्कुल सही. एक क्लोनिंग सोसाइटी होती है कि सोसाइटी को कंट्रोल करना इजी है व्हेन वी क्लोन एवरीबॉडी, राइट?
Yes.
इट्स इजियर टू मैनेज पीपल इफ दे आर क्लोन्ड. एवरीबॉडी बिहेव्स अ सर्टेन वे. 25 साल की शादी है, उसके बाद बच्चा है, मतलब हर चीज़ क्लोन है कि एक स्ट्रक्चर बना हुआ है हम सबका.
So moving on, विकास जी, एक बहुत ही बड़ी सक्सेस स्टोरी आपने क्रिएट किया, बहुत लोग आपसे इंस्पायर होते हैं. बट कई बार लोग हमारी सफलता तो देखते हैं, मगर वो जो बैकग्राउंड में जो सेटबैक्स आती हैं, जो फेलियर्स आती हैं, जो कई बार वो लोनली डेज आते हैं, स्ट्रगल आता है, सफरिंग आती है, उसको कई बार लोग नज़रअंदाज कर देते हैं. सो हाउ डू यू हैंडल सेटबैक्स इन योर लाइफ? आपको जो फेलियर्स मिली या सेटबैक्स मिले, तो व्हाट वाज योर थॉट प्रोसेस? हाउ यू यूज्ड टू मैनेज इट?
तो एक्सट्रीम हाइज जब होंगे तो जब नेक ब्रेकिंग सक्सेस होती है ना ऐसी, तो नेक ब्रेकिंग, बैक ब्रेकिंग, शोल्डर ब्रेकिंग, नी ब्रेकिंग फेलियर्स भी होते हैं. एंड यू नो द वर्ल्ड सीज अ स्क्रीनशॉट. योर लाइफ इज 24 hours, but they saw a fraction of the day of a screenshot which you chose to show, right? And people do not want to hear somebody telling a sad story. People want to hear when you overcome the sad story. And then you are talking about that, listen, I'm here, I'm sitting back, I'm waking up every morning, I'm trying to make a difference. But yes, this is what happened to me. So on February 28th last year, I lost my best friend, my soulmate, my sister. She was younger than me, and she was my guardian. She died, she passed away in my arms. And when the nurse came and she says, sorry, she's gone, she was still holding my hand and we couldn't release it. Imagine that impact it must have had on my mind. And my mom came to US to help me in a way, but it was very tough because, you know, she only recognized me for the last few months, and it was like a tough journey. And I still have these marks which are from all the tests which I was going through, so that our kidneys were perfectly matched, our blood groups, every DNA was perfect match. And on 10th March she was supposed to have a kidney transplant, and she would always keep saying, you know, I'm leaving, but it will hurt me if you get hurt. अगर तेरी लाइफ इनकम्प्लीट होगी. तो मैं यूज्ड टू टेल कि क्या होगा उससे. कहती देखो पूरी उम्र ब्लड प्रेशर की प्रॉब्लम रहेगी. डॉक्टर ने कहा मैं क्या ब्लड प्रेशर की गोलियां मैं प्रसाद की तरह खाऊंगा रोज. तो वी हैड once she was struggling with this idea that, you know, that my organ is going to her body and, you know, she'll have years. So I used to say, listen, you have a simple choice. 40 years me living alone or 20 years both of us living together. What do you want? What would you choose? And she says 20 years together. I said, so no, we don't talk about it. We don't need external counseling. We don't need anything. We are smart enough. We are educated enough. We can figure it out. But God had a different plan. And yes, I was very angry with God. I was under severe depression, counseling, antidepressants. And how do you pull yourself out from a shock when you lost somebody who's your only family in America? Only. Who stood by you in the darkest days. And it's human loss that when we are growing up, nobody tells you that life is going to be hard. Right? Every day, she's going to stand behind you cheering for you every single day. And to have her not with you physically, then it was a very, very tough days. And the only thing which pulled me out at that time, I figured out that, okay, she had a dream to create the world's greatest Indian restaurant. And she says, ऐसा रेस्टोरेंट होगा हमारा कि दुनिया कहेगी ये मंदिर खोला है इसने.
क्या बात है.
कहती कि एक सिंगल पॉइंट रेफरेंस ऑफ इंडियन कल्चर होना चाहिए हमारा रेस्टोरेंट. एंड शी वाज ट्रैवलिंग टू जोधपुर एंड शी पिक्ड अप ब्लॉक प्रिंट, ब्रोकन ब्लॉक प्रिंट, टूटा हुआ था. तो मैं कहा टूटा हुआ ये तो, I told her once. And she's saying, you know, it's so funny that world doesn't want to deal with broken things. दुनिया चीज़ को रिपेयर नहीं कर सकती. दुनिया कहती है परफेक्ट चीज़ हो, जिस दिन टूट जाएगी डिस्पोज ऑफ कर देंगे. पर ये दुनिया भूल जाती है कि हर चीज़ टूटेगी. Right? It solved its purpose. If it's broken, I don't care. I just loved what she said because, you know, she was already having this autoimmune issues, but I really liked the idea. So she gave me the logo. She gave me the name of the place. She did everything. Her dream on the hospital beds. She wouldn't stop talking, but I can't talk about the so many legal issues of me opening a restaurant, which I overcome. And maybe if God is willing, the next year I'll open her temple. And one way to overcome pain like that, what helped me was put another dream forward in advance, in ahead of you, your purpose. Do something about it. Life is fragile. Life has uncertainty. You're going to have pain in your life, which you ask God, why do I deserve this? And then you have to figure out that everything around you is also transient. This is happening to you, to everyone. We are soon moving on a lonely path, all of us, right? However big or small, and no money, no fame, no influence in the world can save the person when the time is up. Only God knows. And she was a firm believer of Lord Krishna, firm, because her name was also Radha. And she would always say कि when she lie down, वो कृष्ण जी की थोड़ी सी मूर्ति टेढ़ी कर देता कि मुझे देखे वो. And you know, I got that murti to my house now, and every time I'm sitting in one place, I'm just looking back. Krishna ji is looking at my back, you know. So I just felt that faith sometimes is a part of healing. I looked at faith, and I felt that, you know, I went to Varanasi that day when I came to India for her last, you know, rituals, and somehow I felt that Varanasi gave me all the answers, and that has helped me. I just decided I'm not going to take any prescription medications. I'm not going to do all these things where I need chemical help to make me feel okay. I have God's with me, you know. She lived a life, she was happy, and she was in too much pain. And maybe she's in a better place. And then one of the person who was doing the last rituals in Varanasi, saying, I said, but I don't know if I'll, you know, you can't replace a sister.
True.
Sisters can fight with you and kill you and make you angry. You don't even know you can be so angry. And the next phone call is, oh, Bouchon mein nayi sale lagi hai. Wahan chale? I'm like, can you just talk about what you did to me just like 5 minutes ago? Chhod na chhoti baatein karta rahega. And for me, that is like unbelievable that Panditji tells me this thing, that she's a part of you and she's never going to leave you. But the truth is that maybe Krishna loved her more. He needed her. And for you somebody to hear that she's okay and she's going to be happy with Krishna, it just made you feel like, okay, you let go. And there's an expiration time that when you have to stop mourning and you need to find a way to move on.
So beautifully articulated. Or in fact, the grieving has stages. When we grieve about someone, your brain is actually trying to process the loss. So the first stage is denial. So for some time we stay in denial. We don't want to accept it. Okay, ये नहीं हुआ है, ये कोई सपना तो नहीं है. It's like a dream. Then from denial we go to anger. Now we become angry, maybe to God, or maybe
you're right.
Why it happened with me? मैंने क्या गलत किया था? I have always been good with other people. क्या कोई पिछले जन्म का कुछ है क्या? So you become angry, maybe sometime with yourself, sometime with others. Sometime you can feel guilty as well. Because as a
could
human,
have done more.
Yes. So why I had so many things, but why I could not save her, right? During Corona, when people used to come to me a lot around grief management, so I saw that many people felt guilty during those times because they had grief, but at the same time they were feeling guilty कि मैं कुछ क्यों नहीं कर पाया. So once you get over that grief, anger, guilt, then the next step is acceptance. Now you accept that, okay, life is transient, life is impermanent, and everybody loses. Even you're also going to pass someday. So till we are alive, what we can do, what we can create, and how we can impact each and every life that we come in contact with. So you start accepting that, you start getting new perspectives, maybe new vision, new future, maybe you attach your life to something more meaningful. And then the fourth stage is let go. This is how our brain actually processes, and I'm so happy that you have a bigger vision, and she's still a part of you. And I believe that when we sorrow about, when we feel sad about our loved one, it is only the love that is expressing itself as a sorrow, because now the person is not there. So then the love is expressing itself as a sorrow. And at the same time, we can convert this love into gratitude as well. कि वो जितना समय हमने साथ बिताया, why not to be grateful about the time. जैसे आपने कहा कि 20 years भी साथ में रहे, so that is more powerful instead of the quantity. So we can translate that love into gratitude, that कि हम इतना समय साथ में रहे, इतनी memories हमने साथ में बिताई, we got a chance to experience this world. So that's amazing.
I don't know who wants to hear it today, but I feel I wanted to hear it today. Let go is not easy because there's so many things. I couldn't let go of apartment or stuff. I'm like not letting go. And then you figure out, no, you've got to find ways to wear her around your neck. You need to find ways that she's some part of you, everything you do. And that's very important. And I just feel that mental health is something which is so less talked about. And you're one of the pioneers who came out and spoke about this. Men suffer so much that they get used to the pain, right? Not just myself, I'm talking about so many men, because somehow the society takes away a lot of things from you when you're growing up. It also takes your power to express, because the moment a boy goes and says that this is happening to me, and we were told, when I was bullied like crazy in school and everything, and she said, "Dar lagta hai nahi, you're not allowed to express. Rota nahi." And I think that is something which has damaged a lot of people for not being able to express themselves and fully understand their own potential.
So true.
क्योंकि वो आगे बढ़ने के लिए पहाड़ नहीं रोकता आपको. मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ, आपको पहाड़ तो सामने वो नहीं रोकता, उस जूते में छोटा सा कंकर है वो रोकेगा आपको.
वो बचपन में कहते हैं ना कि जरा सा रोने लगे तो क्या लड़की की तरह रो रहा है.
Yeah, and I'm glad that people like yourself are pulling this issue and talking about this, so that men should be equally able to express themselves. Absolutely. And if they seek help, they should be giving help, just to feel that you're not alone. I live in the biggest, the craziest, the loneliest, the most crowded, the most ambitious, and the most broken city in the world, New York. Everything is extreme. And in that city, I learned that, the only thing is that if you need help, you seek help.
True. Beautiful.
And denial could be more damaging than embracing the fact that, I'm going through a terrible relationship and I'm going through a terrible moment in my life. I don't know what to do. Instead of being on the wrong side of your health, you need to seek help. And there is help available. There's so much of research. Even you telling me the stages, I just feel better. My heart is feeling better. अच्छा, मैंने पहले क्यों नहीं किसी ने बोला मेरे को? Because when I went for counseling, I was just given prescriptions, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's the only way.
Or in fact, it's good that we are talking about it. Or in fact, I'm very happy that people like you, influential, highly successful, so many people follow you, and still being able to share story is very important. मैं कुछ समय पहले इवन विराट कोहली का एक इंटरव्यू देख रहा था, तो जो वो एक बैड फेज से गुजर रहे थे, तो अभी जैसा आपने कहा कि वी हैव टू एक्सेप्ट अवर रियलिटी, तो ही सेड दैट समहाउ ही वाज रिजेक्टिंग द रियलिटी कि आई एम वेरी टफ, आई हैव दैट एटीट्यूड, हाउ कैन आई फील वीक, दिस दैट. Then he said कि no, I had to accept my reality that right now I'm down, I need help. And then maybe he said that he called Dhoni, he called Sachin, and then started seeking help and अपने आप को थोड़ा इकट्ठा किया, इकट्ठा करके then again he came out of it. So that's
it's
so
tough
wonderful.
Because you also we are playing in a battlefield and we are in the front of the war. We get injured, we fall. A lot of things, many people start believing that then we're not going to make it. So some days you stand up because you know that there are so many younger generations who chose to become chefs because they felt that they could represent the country, right? So आप लोगों ने जैसे इसको define किया, it's more easy for a common man to understand. Maybe I won't be able to express, because that is why you are you. And but पहली बार वो stages सुन के मुझे अच्छा लगा that I'm still not able to let go, because I feel that it takes time. It's not that you're going to heal. It's just that you begin to learn how to live with it.
Yes, yes.
It's never going to go away, because only love can hurt like this. I feel that only if you loved somebody so deeply, because somebody stood by you even when they were so weak and you were totally broken, you know that that person's spirit is always going to be with you.
Beautiful. And in fact, letting go doesn't mean that you forget. Okay, letting go does not mean forgetting. Letting go actually means that you accept that you can love the person without their physical presence.
Yeah.
Because love is not bounded by the boundary. It does not require a physical form, right? So letting go means that you accept the physical presence is not there, but still those memories are there. You're not trying to run away from the memories. You can cherish them. You can be grateful about those memories. So maybe you can see the things of your sister and you can see them and you can relive those beautiful memories, and you can be, instead of feeling sad about it that now she's not there, you can be grateful that you got a chance to live those moments with her. So that love will translate into gratitude once you let go instead of sadness.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Before we move to the rapid fire, Vikasji, any 3 lessons from your life that you want to give to the people जो अपना नाम बनाना चाह रहे हैं और खुद की identity बनाना चाह रहे हैं?
I realized as an artist who lives in New York, which is a very competitive city, that if you are so good and you're going to start making yourself you start creating space for yourself, you are going to have a lot of predators around you. Like predators, you cannot even imagine humans can behave like that, because then everybody feels that you could be an ATM. You could generate money for them. People will be surrounding you, and you need to make the right choices. First thing, take a darker route, which seems to be longer. Take that. But don't fall into the trap when you know your heart will tell you intuition that you are signing a wrong contract. It gets a lot of space and time, takes away so much of energy just to get out. This is my life lesson. To be free and to be independent and to have the power to create is your biggest asset. I feel second thing is that you've got to stay in a place where you can find your gravity. It could be a phone call to your mom. It could be staying connected with your family. Finding something which gives you gravity is so important for your mental well-being. Nobody will care. You want to find somebody who doesn't care how you're doing business-wise. They just care about you. Stay very close to them, because parents also aging, Whatever happens, the parents will always stand by you, or siblings will always stand by you. Not in all the cases, but majority of the cases. Third is you're going to fall. If you're rising and you are going on a path which is groundbreaking, you are going to make choices. And you should stop beating yourself for the failures, and you should find a way to use that energy to stand up again. Don't ever stand in a place and say, I'm not going to do something now. I've been beaten up. This is my last nail in the coffin. No, you're alive. You have air in your lungs. You got up off the bed yourself.
Kya baat hai?
Just remember, you're privileged million times more. People who are waiting for the cases in the prison, people who are waiting to get discharged from their hospital beds who might never get out, people who have totally lost hope, people who are so broken and alone. You are so much better than people. Most of the people will still want to exchange their position with you.
Beautiful, Vikas ji. बहुत ही deep insights और बहुत ही deep ये conversation गया. And now we will move to the rapid fire round with you. So now let's move to the rapid fire round with top, Mr. Vikas Khanna. One word that defines your culinary journey.
Dream,
Cooking, passion or meditation?
discipline,
If not a chef, तो आप क्या बनते?
farmer,
क्या बात है? 3 things you are grateful for.
mom, sister, and Lord Krishna.
वाराणसी या न्यूयॉर्क ज़्यादा
Hi.
फेवरेट?
Varanasi is my spiritual land, but New York is my Karam Bhumi, my war zone.
A documentary you wish to make it alive.
I really want to make a documentary on Bishnoi women.
If you host a dinner party, कौन से historical figures को आप invite करना चाहेंगे?
President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama. And one person which I really look forward to of cooking for them is Philippe Petit. He's a French tightrope walker who रस्सी पे चलते हैं. And I'm obsessed by him completely. And last will be Simon Garfunkel.
आपकी लाइफ की मोस्ट चेरिश्ड मेमोरी?
I think my brother's wedding.
एक हैबिट जो आपको मेंटली बहुत स्ट्रांग बना?
That you got to follow discipline. You got to get out of the bed. First war is won in the morning.
अगर एक दिन आपको पूरा फ्री मिल जाए तो आप कैसे बिताना पसंद करेंगे?
लोग फोन कर देंगे मेरा फ्री हो जाऊंगा. लोग कहते नहीं, मैं तो बताऊंगा नहीं कैसे कब फ्री हूँ. एक दिन मिल जाएगा तो I'll go and meet my dog and my mother to Amritsar.
Winters in New York or monsoons in Mumbai?
Winters in New York.
Who inspires you most?
My mom.
एक सपना जो आप पूरा करना चाहते हैं और अभी तक नहीं हुआ?
This upcoming project in New York. This is my sister's project, and which I don't want to rush it. You know, I can rush it and start something tomorrow. I don't want to rush it, but I want to do something that the day I open it, she should give me a sign that she's around. And I'm putting all her favorite flowers so that maybe she becomes a bee and she comes to the restaurant to see this. Everything is because I promised her that I'll make her dream come true of saying that one place which is not a restaurant, which becomes a uniting force of Indians in America. पर और ऊपर से सबसे बड़ी ड्रीम है जो अभी आ रही है, जो मेरी शिबाना आज़मी के साथ नई मूवी बनाई है मैंने, which is going to be one of my biggest tribute to my grandmoms, because in this movie Shibana Azmi is playing a failed chef in New York who decides to come to India to be inspired one last time.
Wow.
And when she reaches Golden Temple, by the end of the journey, on the last day, she finds all her answers at the temple.
क्या बात है. और लास्ट क्वेश्चन, आपकी मम्मी से आया हुआ एक एडवाइस जो आपको हमेशा इंस्पायर?
Oh my God, duty is everything.
Duty is everything.
You got to stand up. She said that remember during COVID, when, the whole world was suffering, but she told me that she was watching news on television and people didn't have food. And she's like, my son has been blessed by Manapurna. What is he doing for his country? Duty. She's saying duty to your nation. I'm not saying that this is going to benefit you anyway, but I'm your mother. It hurts me that my son is in such a privileged position and he has the tools to do something in his country and he's not doing it. So my mother has always taught me about duty, and discipline. She's my role model for that.
Lovely. And last thought about the initiative we have taken about inner wellness, your views on that?
बहुत ज़रूरत थी इसकी, and I'm so glad because I was watching you during pandemic when I was broken myself because I couldn't come to India. My sister was with me, but we were all suffering. We all figured out that how isolated we are without people around us. While we rush things and we don't want to be with people and we feel we want to be more Americanized, but we realize that the reason our ancestors built our societies and civilizations around people was mental well-being. Mental well-being was the answer. And when you guys were doing these podcasts, you were doing these almost like case studies with people which were like live things happening. It made you feel like, wow, I'm suffering, but I can't talk. And here somebody else is talking on my behalf. मेरे को बहुत इंस्पायर हुआ था वो. अब मेरे को नहीं पता था मैं आपके साथ बैठ के बात करूँगा, पर मेरे को बहुत इंस्पायर हुआ कि you took an initiative which many people shy away or they feel this is not glamorized. You want to do chulbuli baatein and you have access to everybody in the world. But you rather choose to say that how they overcome a very dark part of the journey.
Beautiful. So thank you so much, Vikas ji, for being so candid, so humble.
I loved it.